Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastup Jr.
Welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show as we continue our series on education and how to pay for it. You know, we've talked already about tax credits, deductions. We've talked about student loans. We've talked about the difference between federal and private student loans. And we spent some time, looking at the particular areas that are related to the federal loans and how they're a better program. And then we talked about in our last session, private student loans. Well, today in this session, I want to talk about the difference between direct subsidized and direct unsubsidized loans. And this is something that a lot of people don't know a lot about. And so we're going to spend some time talking about this because this is a big deal. And, you need to understand what you're getting into. I've had so many people say to me, well, it's a subsidized loan. That means I don't have to pay it back. Well, that's totally not correct. It all comes down to these things. So in short, direct subsidized loans have slightly better terms to help students out with financial needs. So that's the first thing you need to understand. In order to qualify for a direct subsidized loan, here's what you need to do. They are available to undergraduate students with financial need. The financial need is based on that FASFA form that we talked about. Remember what I said about that. There are deadlines, both at the federal level and the school level. Stay on top of those deadlines because this is a first come, first serve thing. You want to be on top of it. Don't wait till the last minute. Your school determines the amount you can borrow, and the amount may not exceed your financial need. So again, first thing, you have to have financial need. Secondly, the school will determine that you don't exceed your financial need. The U.S. Department of Education pays the interest on direct subsidized loans while you're in school, at least half time, for the first 6 months after you leave school, referred to as the grace period, and during the period of deferment of postpone on loan payments. That's the big benefit to this. So while you're in school, you're not going to be paying interest on these loans. The U.S. Department of Education pays that interest, so that interest is not going to be accruing. Now, things you need to note: if you received a direct subsidized loan that was first dispersed between July 1st, 2012 and July 1st, 2014, you will be responsible for paying any interest that accrues during your grace period. So that's something that was in before that isn't in there now. So we talked about subsidized loans, and the big deal there is interest paid by the U.S. government, U.S. Department of Education. Unsubsidized loans. What is that? Direct unsubsidized loans are available to undergraduate and graduate students. So again, subsidized, not available to graduate students. Unsubsidized, yes. Available to undergraduate and graduate students, there is no requirement to demonstrate financial need. So the bottom line is here, doesn't matter what your financial need is, you're going to qualify for direct unsubsidized loans. But again, you're paying the interest. Your school determines the amount you can borrow based on your cost of attendance and other financial aid you receive. So the school is going to take a look at this for you. You're responsible for paying the interest on a direct subsidized loan during all periods. From the day that this loan is granted, the clock starts ticking with that interest, and you're responsible for paying that interest. Now, in a lot of cases, that interest will just go into the balance and it'll just keep growing. If you choose not to pay the interest while you're in school and during grace periods and deferment or forbearance period, your interest will accrue. It's going to accumulate and be capitalized. That is, your interest will be added to the principal amount of your loan. So pay attention to that. Now, when it comes to direct subsidized and direct unsubsidized loans, how much can you borrow? And this is your school determines the loan types, if any, and the actual loan amount you're eligible to receive each academic year. However, there are limits on the amount in subsidized and unsubsidized loans you may be eligible to receive each academic year, which they call the annual loan limits. And the total amount you may borrow for undergraduate and graduate study, which is called the aggregate loan limits. The actual loan amount you are eligible to receive each academic year may be less than the annual loan limit. These depend on what year in school you're in and whether you're dependent or an independent student. Now that gets real complicated now. So if you're a dependent student whose parents are ineligible for direct plus loans, you may be able to receive additional direct unsubsidized loan funds. Now, I want to talk about some of the loan limits because this gets a little complicated. We talked about this a little bit in one of our other sessions, and the whole thing is that this grows as you stay longer in school. So let's talk about this as an example. So for the first year undergraduate annual loan limit for those dependent students whose parents are, that's $5,500. No more than $3,500 of this amount may be subsidized. So the maximum that you can borrow for one of these loans is $5,500, of which not more than $3,500 can be subsidized loans. Now, if you're independent student, and I'm not even going to get into that, but if you're an independent student, it's $9,500 that you can borrow. No more than $3,500 this amount may be in subsidized loans. So that's first year. Second year undergraduate annual limit goes to $6,500. So we start at $5,500. Now we're at $6,500. And in this case, no more than $4,500 of this amount may be subsidized. Now, second year, if you're independent, $10,500, of which not more than $4,500 this amount may be subsidized. So you see they're giving you a little bit of a $1,000 bump as you move forward. Now in the third year and beyond, so once you've got to this third year, they're pretty sure you're going to actually finish. I don't know too many people who don't, although I have met a few. Third year and beyond undergraduate annual loan limit is $7,500 for dependent students. Not more than $5,500 of this amount may be subsidized. So one of the things you notice is as you go further in your education, they're increasing the annual limit, but they're also increasing the amount that can be subsidized. So if you've got that financial need, you qualify for that. Now, for the independent students on third year and beyond, the maximum is $12,500. No more than $5,500 of this may be in subsidized loans. Now, once you reach the graduate professional students annual loan limit, they're not applicable. So all graduate and professional students are considered independent. So there's no more of that breakdown between, well, are you a dependent? Are you independent? What that really comes down to is, are you being claimed by, one of your parents? Are you a dependent of them? Do you meet those criteria? But once you reach the graduate professional student loan, it's not really relevant. So the maximum amount is $20,500, and those are all unsubsidized. So once you get to the graduate level or professional student level, they're all unsubsidized. There's no more subsidies at that level. Now, one of the other things we want to talk about is the total amount you receive over the course of your education reaches the aggregate loan limit. You are not eligible to receive additional loans. However, if you repay some of your loans to bring your outstanding loan debt below the aggregate loan level, you can borrow then again up to the amount of your remaining eligibility under aggregate loan limit. Now, subsidized and unsubsidized aggregate loan limits for dependent students. So again, this is not if you're in graduate school, is $31,000. So that's the maximum you can get is $31,000. Not more than $23,000 of this amount may be in subsidized loans. So again, they've increased. So this is after all 4 years, the maximum is $31,000. So let's say you're a student that takes the 5-year program. You need to take that into consideration because your cap is going to be $31,000, of which only $23,000 can be unsubsidized. Now, if you're an independent student, that jumps up to $57,500 for undergraduates. Not more than $23,000 of this amount may be in subsidized loans. Now, there is also a graduate professional student is $138,500. Not more than $65,500 of this may be in subsidized loans. So this is where we talk about, your higher level degrees, maybe you're medical or maybe you're in law or something like that. So you still have this aggregate limit. And that's why we spent a little time talking about, what's going on with private student loans, because in this particular case, you may have to reach in and get one of those private student loans. Well, in our next session, we're going to talk about Perkins loans. So make sure you join us.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph@AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.